When a man truly loves a woman, silence doesn't mean he's gone. Distance doesn't mean he's done. Sometimes a man steps back, not because he's lost interest, but because he's waiting for her, waiting to see if she'll notice, if she'll reach out, if she'll meet him halfway. Today, we're breaking down the quiet signs, the things men do. When they're not giving up, they're just waiting for you. You know, one of the biggest misunderstandings in relationships is silence. We assume that when someone goes quiet, they've stopped caring. But that's not always true, especially with men. Sometimes, when a man truly feels something deep, his silence isn't distance, it's a form of respect. It's his way of saying, I don't want to push, I just need to see where your heart stands. See, when a man is waiting for you, he doesn't completely disappear. He may stop calling every day, he may not flood your messages, but he's still there, quietly present in the background of your life. He's still watching your stories, still noticing your small victories, still remembering that thing you said about your dream job, your favorite cafe, or how you take your coffee. That presence is subtle, but it's intentional. Because when a man is waiting, he's paying attention without intruding. He's giving you space to breathe, but hoping you'll still feel his energy lingering around you. There's this quiet balancing act that happens. On one hand, he wants to reach out, to say, hey, I miss you. But on the other, he knows that love can't be forced. So he stays back, hoping you'll notice that his silence doesn't come from anger or pride, but from patience. From a desire to see whether the connection you shared has roots deep enough to survive the quiet. Men, by nature, often communicate through action rather than words. So when he's waiting, you'll see it in how he subtly checks in, maybe like in an old post, maybe asking a mutual friend how you're doing, maybe leaving a comment that's just enough to remind you he's still around. He's testing the water without diving in. It's his way of asking, do I still have a place in your world? Without actually saying it. And if you've ever sensed that someone's energy is still there, even when they're gone, that's not your imagination. That's the invisible thread of emotional connection still holding you two together. It's what makes you think of him at random moments, like when you hear that one song or pass by that one street. It's not coincidence. It's connection that hasn't been cut. But here's the truth. A man who's waiting doesn't want you to chase him out of guilt. He wants you to choose him out of clarity. That's why he doesn't beg. That's why he doesn't force. Because deep down, he knows that if he has to convince you to care, it won't be real. So he stays in the shadows, quietly hoping you'll meet him halfway. Not because he's weak, but because he's protecting something sacred. He's protecting his own heart, but he's also protecting yours. It takes strength to stay when it would be easier to move on. It takes maturity to give space instead of pressure. That's why when a man stays present but quiet, it's not indifference. It's emotional discipline. It's love expressed in restraint. And that's something few people recognize until it's gone. Sometimes, the loudest sign a man cares isn't in what he says, but in what he chooses not to say. It's in his patience. It's in his willingness to stay near without crossing your boundaries. It's in those moments of quiet observation where he's trying to figure out not how to win you back, but whether you still want to be won. And that's the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. Because when a man is truly waiting for you, he doesn't vanish. He just steps back, not to walk away, but to see if love will walk toward him. There's something powerful about the way a man mirrors your energy when he's waiting for you. It's subtle, but it's real. He's not chasing like he used to, but he's not cold either. He's just balanced. He's trying to understand the rhythm between you now, where you stand, how much you care, and whether you'll meet him where he's standing. When a man starts matching your effort instead of overextending himself, it's not because he's lost interest. It's because he's learned that love isn't one-sided. He's learned that connection only lasts when it's built on mutual energy, not dependency. You see, in the beginning, he probably gave more, initiated more, texted first, planned things, kept the spark alive. But when he starts to feel that he's giving into silence, he pauses, not out of bitterness, but out of respect for himself and for you. That's what mirroring energy really is. It's his quiet way of saying, I'm still here, but I'm waiting to see if you are too. He's not chasing anymore, because he knows that genuine love doesn't need to be begged for. He's observing. He's feeling the shift. If you respond with warmth, he opens up again. If you're distant, he gives you that space. He doesn't push, he doesn't pull. He simply reflects. This kind of man has emotional awareness. He's not trying to manipulate you by withholding attention. He's trying to protect the connection from becoming one-sided. He knows that real intimacy needs two people who want to be there, not one person carrying the weight of both hearts. So he watches your cues, how you reply, how you show up, how consistent your energy feels. And when he mirrors it, that's not a game, that's communication without words. There's a certain peace in that energy. He's not trying to win anymore. He's trying to understand. He wants to see if you'll match what he's giving, even in small ways. A text, a check-in, a little vulnerability, because that tells him something deeper, that you still care, that you're still emotionally connected. And when he feels that, he naturally leans back in with his whole heart. Sometimes women see this shift as emotional distance, like he's suddenly not trying, not invested. But often it's the opposite. It's his heart learning boundaries. It's his love learning balance. Because a man who's always chasing eventually wants to be chosen. He's not walking away. He's waiting to see if you'll meet him halfway. That's a test of alignment, not affection. It's easy to miss how pure that energy is. Because it's quiet. It doesn't come with grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It comes with small, meaningful moments. The way he still listens, the way he still responds, the way he still matches your vibe even after being hurt. That's not detachment. That's maturity. That's him saying, I'm still here, but I won't pour into what won't pour back. And you can feel it. You can feel when someone is still emotionally tethered to you. They may not say much, but there's still warmth in how they talk to you. There's still care in how they reply. There's still consistency, not the kind that demands your attention, but the kind that quietly hopes you'll give it freely. When a man mirrors your energy, he's not trying to play it safe. He's trying to protect what's left of the connection. Because if he gives too much too soon, he risks being misunderstood. But if he gives just enough, he gives you the space to choose him willingly. And that's where love becomes real, when it's not about chasing or proving, but about two people who decide, in their own time, to meet in the middle. Because when a man starts mirroring your energy, he's not pulling away, he's inviting you to step closer. When a man starts bringing up old memories, he's not just reminiscing, he's reaching. He's reaching for the part of the connection that felt real, the part that made him feel safe, seen, and understood. It's his quiet way of saying, I still remember what we were, and a part of me hopes you do too. He might mention a restaurant you both loved, a random moment that made you laugh, or something small that no one else would even think mattered. But to him, it mattered. Because those moments are anchors, reminders of when things felt effortless, before pride and distance crept in. And when he brings them up, he's not trying to make you feel guilty or nostalgic. He's trying to reconnect without crossing your boundaries. This is how men often communicate love, not by confessing everything outright, but through hints, fragments, shared memories. He's testing the waters to see if the emotional door is still open. If you smile when he mentions that one night you both stayed up talking until 3 a.m., he notices. If you respond warmly when he recalls the song that became yours, he feels it. It tells him that you still value what you had, that it wasn't just a chapter easily closed. What's interesting is that men don't usually hold on to words. They hold on to moments. a look, a laugh. The sound of your voice when you said something simple but honest. That's what replays in his head when he's waiting. And sometimes, the reason he brings those memories up isn't to relive them. It's to remind both of you that what you had wasn't ordinary. He's saying, without saying it, this connection still means something to me, and that takes courage. Because a man who still mentions memories is a man who hasn't buried his emotions completely. He could have chosen silence, he could have pretended to move on, but instead he chooses honesty in small doses. He's not asking you to come back, he's asking if the bridge between you is still standing. Those small references, they're not coincidences. When he recalls something out of the blue, like how you used to make fun of his morning hair, or how you'd always order dessert first, it's not random. It's deliberate. It's his way of creating a moment where both your hearts can remember before your minds interfere. Because memory is powerful. It breaks walls faster than any apology. Sometimes he'll even mask it in casual conversation. He'll say, "Hey, I passed by that place we went to once," or "That movie we watched came on TV today." But underneath that line is something softer, something unspoken. "I still think of you." He's giving you an open door without pushing you through it. And that's the beauty of how men love when they're waiting. They approach gently. They hope quietly. If you listen closely, you'll feel the emotion under his tone. There's tenderness there, even if he's trying to sound indifferent. Because men, especially when they've been hurt or uncertain, often wrap vulnerability in casual words. They'll talk about the good times, because that's safer than saying, "I miss you." And if you respond with empathy, even something as small as, "Yeah, that was a good day," that tells him more than any long conversation could. It tells him the connection still breathes. It gives him a reason to keep hoping. So when a man brings up memories, pay attention. It's not about nostalgia, it's about emotional truth. It's his heart checking if yours still remembers the same song. Because when he recalls what once made you both smile, it's not just a memory. It's his quiet way of saying, "I haven't forgotten us." When a man is waiting for you, one of the clearest signs isn't in what he says, it's in how he starts working on himself. He doesn't sit around drowning in what-ifs or trying to fill the silence with distractions. Instead, he begins to rebuild. He takes all that energy he used to pour into the relationship and channels it into becoming better. Not for anyone else, but because deep down, he wants to be ready if you ever come back. You'll notice it. He starts taking care of his body again. He's back at the gym, eating better, dressing sharper. Not out of vanity, but because he's trying to find balance again. He's learning to respect himself the way he once respected the connection he had with you. Because for a man who truly loved, the loss doesn't just hurt. It wakes him up. It makes him realize that if he's waiting, he can't wait in weakness. He has to wait in growth. You see, when a man is emotionally invested, he doesn't stop caring overnight, but he also knows he can't just stand still in that love. So he starts improving quietly. Maybe he's working harder at his job, setting new goals, fixing habits he ignored before. Maybe he's learning patience, learning to listen better, learning to let go of ego. It's not a show. He's not trying to prove something to you. He's preparing. Because in his mind, if there's ever another chance, he doesn't want to bring the same version of himself back to the table. That's what makes this kind of waiting different. It's not about desperation. It's about discipline. A man who truly cares uses the waiting period as a mirror. He asks himself, what can I do better next time? How can I love in a healthier way? How can I make sure that if she returns, I'm someone worth returning to? It's not self-pity, it's self-awareness. And that shift changes everything. Because men who wait in growth aren't trying to impress. They're healing. They're rebuilding confidence from the inside out. They start to rediscover their passions. Maybe the hobbies they let go of, the dreams they put on pause. And every step of that process reminds them that their love doesn't have to be heavy. It can be strong and soft at the same time. Sometimes you'll see it in the smallest ways: the calm in his tone when you talk again, the patience in how he listens, the steadiness in how he carries himself. Those aren't random changes. They're signs of someone who's been quietly evolving. Waiting for you wasn't wasted time for him, it was shaping time, time that taught him how to love better, not just you, but life itself. It's easy to assume that men move on by forgetting, but the truth is, the good ones move on by improving. They don't run from the pain, they learn from it. They don't seek revenge or rebound, they seek growth. They take the hurt and turn it into motivation. And that's when you know he's still waiting, because his focus isn't on replacing what he lost. It's on becoming the man who can truly deserve it again. And even if he doesn't say it, that's what he's thinking every time he makes progress. Every time he levels up. Every time he looks in the mirror and chooses to grow instead of giving up. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he's hoping that one day, if paths cross again, you'll look at him and see that he didn't just wait. He became better while waiting. Because the truth is, when a man is waiting for the right woman, he's not standing still. He's building himself quietly, piece by piece, so that if love finds him again, he's ready to hold it with stronger hands. One of the most overlooked signs that a man is still waiting for you is how he protects you, even from a distance. When a man truly loved you, that instinct to protect doesn't just vanish when things end or grow quiet. It stays. It shifts from action to restraint. He's not guarding you physically anymore, but emotionally, he's still holding that protective energy, even when you're not his to protect. He could easily be bitter. He could lash out, talk negatively about you, or share things that were meant to stay private, but he doesn't. He stays quiet. Because deep down he still respects what you had, and more importantly, he still respects you. That silence, that dignity, is his way of saying, even if we're not together, I'll never let anyone disrespect what we shared. When a man truly cares, he won't turn your name into gossip. He won't try to make you look small so he can look strong. He doesn't use your mistakes as stories to tell. That's not his way. Because even in disappointment, there's loyalty. And loyalty doesn't end when the relationship does. It just changes shape. It becomes protection without presence. Maybe people around him ask questions. Maybe they try to pull stories out of him, get him to talk, to vent. And he could tell them every detail. But he won't. He just shrugs, says, "She's a good person," and lets it go. That's not avoidance. That's love with boundaries. It's love that refuses to turn sacred moments into public material. Because no matter what happened, he still values the part of you that the world doesn't get to see. And you might never even know how many times he's done that. How many times he's defended you in conversations you'll never hear. How many times he's chosen silence when it would have been easier to blame. But that's the quiet kind of protection, the kind that doesn't ask for recognition. He doesn't need you to see it. He just needs to know he did right by you. A man like that hasn't stopped caring, he's just caring differently now. From afar, with maturity, with restraint. He knows that real love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means not letting bitterness stain the memory of what was once beautiful. So he protects you not because he's weak, but because he's strong enough to let his pride take the hit if it means your name stays clean. He might even see you moving on, and though it stings, he won't interfere. He won't try to ruin it or make it harder for you. He steps back with grace, even when it hurts, because his love has evolved from needing to have you to simply wanting you to be okay. That's how you know he's still waiting, not waiting to control, but waiting to heal, to see if time brings clarity, to see if love finds its way back naturally. There's something powerful about that kind of quiet protection. It speaks to the kind of love that's rooted in respect, not possession. The kind that doesn't vanish when circumstances change. It's the kind of love that says, even if I can't stand beside you anymore, I'll never stand against you. And that's rare, because not many people can care without claiming, love without labeling, protect without presence. But when a man does that, when he guards your name and your memory even after the ending, that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign that he's still holding you in his heart, just gently now, with open hands instead of closed fists. Because when a man truly loves you, he doesn't stop protecting you when you're gone. He just learns how to do it quietly. There comes a moment, after all the waiting, after all the hoping, when a man realizes that love can't be forced. It has to be chosen. That's when everything changes. He stops trying to control how you feel, he stops trying to convince you, and he simply steps back, not in anger, not in defeat, but in quiet acceptance. Because the strongest love isn't the one that holds on too tightly. It's the one that leaves space for freedom. When a man truly loves a woman, and he's waiting for her, he eventually learns to let go of the outcome. That doesn't mean he stops caring. It means he starts trusting. Trusting that if what you shared was real, if it was meant to be, then time will find its way to bring you back together. And if it doesn't, he'll still be grateful that it happened. That's a different kind of love, one that comes from peace instead of fear. You'll feel it in his energy. He's calm now. He's not texting to see where things stand, not trying to pull your attention. He's living, he's growing, but there's still a softness when it comes to you. He's still open, but he's not waiting in pain anymore. He's waiting in peace. That's what makes it powerful. Because when a man leaves space for you to choose, he's giving you something rare, the chance to come back out of genuine love, not obligation. That's a level of emotional maturity that only comes after loss, after reflection, after realizing that control never builds connection. He knows that if you're meant to be in his life, you'll come back when it feels right, not when he demands it. So he lets you go, not because he's stopped loving you, but because he finally understands that love without choice isn't love at all. And that space he gives, it's not a test. It's not a trick. It's trust. It's his way of saying, I believe in what we shared, but I also believe you have the right to decide if it's still what you want. It's quiet, it's respectful, and it's selfless. Because for him, what matters more than being chosen is that you want to choose him. It's in that stillness, that letting go, where real connection either dies or deepens. If you come back, it's because your heart found its way, not because his persistence wore you down. And if you don't, he still finds peace in knowing he loved the right way. That's not weakness. That's strength rooted in acceptance. This is what separates a man who's waiting from a man who's chasing. The one who's chasing needs validation. The one who's waiting understands timing. He knows that love can't be rushed, and that giving space doesn't mean giving up. It means giving you the room to see the truth for yourself, whether that truth leads back to him or not. And here's the beautiful part, that kind of love never fades bitterly. It stays soft. It stays kind, because it's not about ownership, it's about honor. He honors what you had, and he honors your freedom to decide where your heart belongs. There's no resentment in that, only quiet respect. So when a man steps back and leaves the choice to you, it's not because he's done, it's because he's strong enough to let love unfold naturally. He knows that real love doesn't need to chase. It simply stands still, open, and ready, believing that if it's meant to return, it will. Because sometimes the bravest thing a man can do for love is to stop holding on and trust that if it's real, it won't need to be held.